Everybody, just Martin91 here, and I'm here to talk to you guys about Iron Man 2. It came out in 2010, and it is the third in release order chronologically, the fifth movie in the franchise. It picks up shortly after Iron Man 1 has ended, a couple months after actually, and basically delves deeper into Tony Stark's character. Now, this movie in particular is not the most favored movie in the MCU. There's a handful of movies that people didn't really like in general, and in the grand scheme of things, I think I mentioned in the reviews earlier, actually the last one, I think in the Iron Man one, yeah, that MCU had a problem with some of the villains that it had, and that actually can be seen here. I feel like some aspects of it were underused and some aspects of it were overused, and it's just like getting into spoilers here, but again, at your own, risk. Whiplash is a big enemy in the Iron Man comics, and I feel like there was a lot of potential for Mickey Rourke in this one, and he did the character well, in my opinion, I guess. But they didn't give him enough to work with. The trailers, if I remember correctly, for the original teaser, it really revved him up with the whole on the racetrack and all that. Basically, he was revving up, and it's really hyped it all up. And turns out that Whiplash was only an underling to Sam Rockwell's character, and that guy was simply just a joke. And the movie made that clear, that he was just a joke compared to Tony. But I mean, how the whole thing was handled, and this guy was working under him, it was like, I just don't feel like Sam Rockwell's character carried the movie as a villain that well. And maybe it was written that way for a reason. I don't know. But the movie was fine. Visually, it's amazing. Story-wise, it moves it forward. Tony's character goes through an arc, basically, that is ever-changing. We never see him interact with his father in this franchise, whom he lost a long while ago. But basically, these movies' timelines in different forms have him basically come to, I guess, get some closure in a sense. Basically, he learns new things. He establishes new ground basically on how he has to perceive certain things. Him and his father's relationship, by all means, was not healthy, and basically how his family was with him over that kind of affected how he turned out as a person. And this journey of his, basically throughout the Iron Man movies, through the MCU in general, it's going to be greatly shown. Again, how Endgame turns out is a big thing. Infinity War, I already loved how his character has turned out. In the future, he's going to become a mentor to Peter Parker, the Spider-Man, basically. And it's really well done how he's passing down the torch, basically. It's a hell of an experience right now for me personally, honestly. Seeing all these again, and I mean, I've seen them quite a few times, but I know that it's going somewhere insane that we don't even know what's going to happen at the very end, And this movie, there's not much more I can say about it. It's because the first one didn't really have a script, right? And it was more or less improvised in a sense, as I said. This one was more structured in that note, and I'll get that. But in a sense, the story was really well told. The Iron Man sequels, in my opinion, were not the best sequels in the franchise. Captain America, the best trilogy there is. Now, Thor had its own good run, and I'll get into that when I get into that. Iron Man was great, visually amazing, but it was underwhelming in a lot of ways, the sequels were, compared to the first one. The first one is an iconic movie, in my opinion, for the MCU, for the Iron Man franchise, on its own, trilogy on its own, but it just wasn't there. Scarlett Johansson got introduced in this, and I can address that as the Black Widow, and actually that was a tremendous leap. She was the first female superhero, basically, in the MCU at the time. Sure, we're talking about, Captain Marvel and Brie Larson being the first female-led superhero movie, and the first female-directed superhero movie, and all that, and that's great and amazing. But Scarlett Johansson was the first one, and on the press tour, she's actually saying right now, recently, like it's been such a relief for her since Age of Ultron, when we get introduced to Elizabeth Olsen's character, Scarlet Witch, that basically there are more and more and more women coming onto this franchise, and it's actually revitalizing how things are opening up, and that's great. I mean, I'm all for it. Her character evolves quite a bit, and she's finally getting her solo movie in 2020, I believe. But that's not justified yet. Like, it's not concrete. But there are release dates penned, and there are rumors. We'll see what happens. Anyways, that is going to be a prequel to Iron Man 2, obviously, because her character gets introduced here, but her character is already kind of established by now. So we're going to need an origin story for her, then that's kind of what it's going to be serving. Anyways, I'm going way off the thing, but it's still connected to Iron Man 2 technically. This is why it's in this video. But I will see you guys next time around, and I will be talking about Thor that came out in 2011. The ending credits scene for Iron Man 2 was teasing that, so that is the one that follows up. Anyways, have a good one, guys, and I'll talk to you guys later. Alright, bye.